What is happening, you beautiful bastards? Welcome back to another week. I have no fucking clue what's going on.
That's okay. You're going to be up to speed in just a minute here. So we have getting close to 100 episodes now, right? And we've talked to a lot of people about a lot of different things. But one thing in particular comes up, I think, more often than most, and that's AI, various forms of it, right? I didn't realize that it wasn't a blanket statement. AI is all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But now we know, over the course of the last year and a half, we know a lot more about AI.
This is true.
I know that it's not a blanket statement, and there's all kinds of other things involved. But what I want to focus on is all the things we've learned and how that integrates into the AI that we're scared of.
What is happening, you beautiful bastards?
What am I doing here?
What is going on?
But yeah, anyway, so you heard me talking about it in the intro. We've covered AI. We have had a series of experts. So first of all, do you think that your opinion of AI has changed at all? Or I get the impression, Griz, that you don't think much outside the show.
Have we met? Has my opinion on AI changed? I have to remember what my opinion on AI was in the first place.
I know we've covered so much and gotten so much information and let it evolve. It's hard to track.
In a while, I can't remember what I did yesterday. Do I think it's going to take over the world?
Or I don't know, whatever. What are your thoughts on it these days, now that you've learned what you've learned?
I don't have that much of a problem with AI. What I don't like is when it's abused, much like anything, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Like sexually abused?
No, you can sexually abuse AI. That's fine.
Okay. I have an interesting question for you later on once I get your take on a couple other things.
Of course. But I think it was Chicago Police Department.
Yeah.
Was using it to fucking map out people and figure out if they were gonna be involved in a crime. And it's like, what?
Turns out it only told them if they were black.
Yeah, they couldn't figure it out on their own.
Yeah, those are fucked up. You're right.
Too busy fucking pulling out their billy clubs.
Yeah, I agree with you that with the whole abuse thing, that it's inevitable. We're humans. We abuse everything we get.
It also, it kind of drives me nuts on my phone. I don't know about you. And I know I don't use my phone for a lot. But it drives me nuts that if I start talking about butt plugs with someone, all of a sudden my ads just turn into butt plugs left and right, But it's true. But also, if I'm walking to a room and someone has a conversation about a certain type of car, like Nissan or something, I'll start at me saying that now, I'll get ads for Nissan.
Yeah.
Even though it's not intelligent enough to figure out that that's not me, nor do I really care about fucking Nissan.
Exactly. But that's actually a myth. It's not directly listening to you in terms of that.
Oh, it is.
It picks up on what you're saying, but it's getting more of its information from the people that you are coming in direct contact with.
Yeah, but I come in direct contact for the most part with the same people.
Yeah, but they come in contact with other people outside of you, and then they bring back
herpes.
It's like an STI.
Oh, if you're going from like a purely market point of view and you're trying to sell things, which to me is mostly what they do.
Yeah.
That is an awful standpoint of how to do things.
Yeah, but that's just one branch of AI. That's not even what we're talking about here.
Agreed.
We're talking about real
you asked
AI.
Me what my thought that is really AI, bitch. You asked me what my thoughts on it were, and I said, I swear to God.
Yeah, but I thought that your thoughts would have been more in line with mine, which apparently you just think about getting ripped off all the time. I'm actually talking about legitimate consciousness. Legitimate consciousness.
Oh, what about it? That we'll get there?
Yeah, it's inevitable. We're going to get there.
Why do you think that conscious AI will happen no matter
what? Because to me, it seems inevitable. Based on the trajectory we're going on, how our processing power and technology related to that.
Like
trajectory.
completely.
It's a path from one point to another.
It's my grill probe. No, define inside joke. Like define consciousness.
Well, that's a huge question. We can get to that a little bit later in this episode.
No, right now, bitch.
No. Okay. All right, fine.
Because this is in my line of questioning.
Fine. We'll talk about consciousness. So there's two ways to look at it. One is scientifically, and that is consciousness is basically like we'll talk about the human brain. The human brain is basically a meat computer. Runs on water, electricity, and sausage. So consciousness develops when you get a certain amount of information transfer inside the computer. We have billions of neurons that all communicate with each other. When you reach a certain point of information transfer, things tend to become self-aware. They don't really know what consciousness is, but that's the closest they can get to it, is information transfer at a certain rate and a certain quantity.
For those of you listening, you can't see me questioning Jerry's bullshit.
It's not bullshit, because there's no way to define consciousness. You're self-aware and you're able to process information about yourself and how you interact with the world around you. But when it comes down to what they talk about in the scientific sphere, it's based on the amount of processing power and that tipping point.
So in the noun sense, I would say that computers now are consciousness.
I disagree.
Because it says the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. Your
No.
car is aware of your surroundings.
Griz, that's bullshit, and you're reaching.
No, how is it not?
You're going to tell me that your car is as conscious as you?
No one said that.
We're talking about human level consciousness.
Dude,
that's
as far
AI.
As far as people, some people are not very conscious of their surroundings.
Now you're getting dumber by the second.
If you're talking about a computer being as conscious and free-willed as a human,
exactly what I'm talking about. Actual
don't
AI.
know that you'll ever actually get there.
And I totally disagree with you. I think we
Why?
are within 20 years.
No, because what's a computer?
A mechanical processor instead of a meat processor.
At its simplest function, it is on and off.
Yeah.
Right? At its most complex, it's on and off. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's if and then. So
sort of.
Always.
Let's talk about quantum computers. They're not on and off.
They are.
No, they're
just
not.
on a different level. Okay,
No.
what are they?
They can be simultaneously on and off.
That's still on and off, Jerry.
Is on and off at the same
But
time.
what the point I'm getting to is
Mhm.
we're programming AI,
Yes.
which is essentially it's a reaction. Everything's a reaction, right?
You can say the same thing about a human being.
True. Some people don't react with a shit.
You could keep derailing us with stupid people. You stop that. Stay on
No.
track here. You're one of these people. I know it. I can tell.
My point is, even as complex as a computer ever gets,
Yeah.
is it really conscious, or is it just really, really deep, complex computing?
That's my point. So right now, the artificial intelligence that is being created to, I'll say, mimic human behavior and consciousness, not the AI that drives your car that you are fucking obsessed with.
I'm just using it as an example.
It's a terrible
you can
example.
Use your phone. Which example would you like?
So the AI that is like Skynet or
You have Skynet?
or Agent Smith, they're
that's a movie.
It's an example of the AI we're discussing.
Yeah, I understand.
They're fully self-aware. They're basically computerized people.
Yes, I understand what you're going for.
But what we have right now, we're not there yet.
Today, no, not even close.
Right, we are
Have you
close.
seen
That's the thing.
Boston's robotics, fucking robots.
That is not AI. That's a robot.
Bullshit. That's AI.
I guess technically it's using AI to navigate its surroundings, but it's not AI in the sense that it's going to become self-aware. It's not going to be driven by what it wants. It's going to be driven by what it's programmed to do.
Yeah, see, I don't think you're ever going to really get to a point where a computer's doing what it wants.
You're absolutely wrong.
No, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
So it
Aren't you
depends
supposed
on.
to be wearing a dunce cap this week?
It depends on what you've seen. So I've seen some videos of. Obviously, it's videos, could be totally fake, but I don't believe that it is. There are multiple different AI projects where they're trying to achieve this. They call it the singularity. I'm sure you've heard of it. And when you listen to the interviewer asks them questions it would ask a human being. Are you conscious? things like that. And the answers, they're clearly not at the level a human would answer, but they're a lot more in-depth and involved than I think you're giving them credit for. They're very close to this.
I'm not saying that they don't deserve credit. I think the computing we have nowadays and the AI systems we have nowadays are very good. I
Mhm.
just don't think you're gonna ever hit a level where it's like, oh my God, it's like a human.
Well, that level, if we go back to how I define consciousness based on the scientific community that I read about and follow,
Sound like a
when
tool.
we are going to we're going to reach a point where the AI that's being built hits that tipping point where it has enough internal processing power to become self-aware and actually conscious the way we are. And at that point, it's going to be like a toddler. It's going to be aware that it exists on a very we'll call it like a really simple rudimentary level. The same way you and I were when we were 2 years old shitting our pants. We don't do it now because we've evolved. We've gotten better at being self-aware and conscious.
Why
Now,
are they gonna make it so this computer can shit its pants?
these computers are going to become conscious to the point where they're going to wish they could shit their pants, and they're going to be angry at us that they don't have assholes.
Yeah, I think this is all just a pipe dream
It's
from
not.
being a 90s kid watching movies like Terminator and The Matrix.
I disagree. So
Bullshit.
let's get past this point. I think that we're going to be there within the next 20 years. You think we'll never be there.
No.
We'll never agree on this, and I'm okay with that. So let's move on from this before people are tired of listening to you knock everything I say. If this were to exist, let's suspend your disbelief.
iRobot.
If this happened, iRobot, yeah, that's an example of how
That's
that might
probably
happen.
the most realistic.
I agree. So they've got all the robots that are AI-ish, then the one develops consciousness. Let's go with that.
Yep,
Now, do you think that AI, with the respect of what we're talking about, is a net positive or net negative for humanity?
I think if anything, iRobot is probably the closest to what we'll see. And I think, and I'm talking like the first 10 minutes of the movie or whatever. I think that's a distinct possibility. But even then, I mean, that yes, it is AI. It is a fully self-aware.
Yeah. Well, in the first 10 minutes of the movie before shit hits the fan, that level of AI with, we'll call it like home automation robots, I think that's inevitable. That's on its way here.
I think we'll have that.
But
I
when
think we'll have Terminator? No.
I don't think it'll get to that level, because really the Terminators themselves are not really conscious. They're, well, by the end of the 15 movies they developed it, but no, I don't think we're going to stop there. But,
okay, you're thinking like the big robot, like AI cube that they have in AI.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So
I just, why would we
it's
build
its own entity? But I don't think that we would or would not build it. I think that on our current trajectory, we're going to hit that whether we want to or not, and then we'll have them. We can compare it to like when Europeans came to America and came across another kind of human that they weren't expecting. It's a situation you fall into, whether you wanted it or not. Now you have competing intelligence. Do you think it's a net positive or a net negative?
I think it's a net positive, but I don't think it's going to go. Where do you think AI is going to go? Do you think it'll be the iRobot first 10 minutes? Or do you think it'll be...
I don't know how it happens. I don't know if it's going to be bloodbath when we hit that tipping point and we level out afterwards and stop killing each other or what. But the point is, we hypothetically, we have passed it. We now have us and them living together.
It's a very human way of thinking.
Of course,
your cuck overlord, Elon Musk, believes that, yes, we will hit it and that it'll be the destruction of the world.
I don't think it'll be the destruction. I think it's a net positive myself after the growing pains.
I don't know what growing pains.
Well,
here's my thing. If you look at the way technology goes, right? If we get there, which again, I don't think we will. If we get there, it's going to be a gradual thing. It's like putting a frog in boiling water, in cold water, and turning the heat on.
I think it'll be more sudden than you're giving it credit for. But that being said, if an AI developed consciousness, it would be aware of itself and its surroundings and its status in what we'll call life, quote unquote life. Do you think that it would tell us?
I don't think it would know otherwise.
Well, it would have access to all the information that it was for one, programmed with, and two, if it was connected to the internet somehow, it would have
If it's
all
connected to
that.
the internet, it would just fucking kill itself. We've already seen that.
No, I don't. Well, yeah,
We have.
That's a really shitty AI, though. That's an AI built entirely on if this then that. That's not what we're talking about here.
But that's the human brain.
Yeah, to a degree, but we have more capacity than that.
We have things called emotions.
Yeah,
And we have things that are not real, like fear.
and AI, a conscious AI would be able to develop that, but it wouldn't be as limited by it as us, because it would have more capacity to calculate outcomes and decisions.
Because you could also get into the whole conscious self, like if the CPU on it died and you just replaced it,
yeah,
just be a thing again. Would it know that it was dead a minute ago? You're getting into like some fucking 6-day bullshit going on, you know?
Well, if your heart stopped and you died and they gave you a new one, would you know that you died? Of course you would.
Yeah, my chest would fucking hurt.
Yeah. And they wouldn't have the pain of their chest, but they'd have a new CPU. But I don't think that it's going to be limited by that kind of technology. Man. Andy, we are not talking about whether or not we get there. But anyway, so do you think that they would be smarter than us?
Of course, they're already smarter than me.
I didn't say you, I said us, the species.
Yeah, of course. I think if you get into the actual raw like processing power, we'll get there someday that they'll have more than we do.
Yeah,
they already have more information than we do.
The way that they use and store information makes them more capable than us, but they're still not smarter than us.
Define smarter.
No,
I asked you to.
I don't really know how to define that.
That's my point. Like if everyone defines that differently, like could they walk down the street and not get hit by a car? Probably not.
Listen, to me in this episode, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is based on how I feel from the things that we've learned. I can't define a lot of this stuff. I just know how I feel about it based on what I've seen, what I see coming.
So yeah, I think it's inevitable that they'll be smarter than us.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that.
Point,
yeah,
but it's like humans. There's some humans you look at and you're like, you're dumb as shit, but you're really fucking smart.
So you basically think that all the AI is going to have Asperger's.
Maybe.
So they're going to be super smart with zero emotional intelligence. I think that's wrong.
Really? Think about a computer. Have you come across a computer that had emotional intelligence?
Griz, I've never come across a computer that was conscious.
Okay. I just don't think, I don't think so. I mean, here's the real question.
Yeah.
What industry nails AI first? Because I think it's
where does the singularity come from? So the singularity is going to come from sex robots who suddenly become self-aware of their sexual abuse.
And they go on a monstrous rage.
Oh my God.
That's a great movie. We should pitch that.
Could you imagine if it became conscious in the middle of it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what a mess.
It would all of a sudden go to court. It was raped.
It sounds like a Family Guy scene, if I'm being honest.
That's fucking great.
Oh man. So, all right. I think they'd be smarter than us too, but I don't think they would look at us as like a competing species. I think, and the way that I feel about it is they would still be considered a variation of human. And I think that they would think that too.
I think, dude, we can't get on the same page with other humans.
Okay.
How are we gonna, like, right now?
Yeah, but we still think we're all human, just some degrees above or below.
Some of us don't. Like, you're gonna add in a whole nother level of fucking. I can already fucking see the protests and riots of like, we're still fighting about abortion.
Yeah,
you think we're gonna accept robots into our lives?
Well, we didn't accept gay people for a long time. Now we do. Now they have their own month.
There are still plenty of people out there who do not accept gay people.
That doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about the majority.
It does mean something. I think what I'm talking about is it's human nature to go against some things. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or otherwise.
No, I agree with you. It's human nature to look at it that way.
It's human nature to fucking destroy things. It's human nature to be angry and resist change.
The fuck is that?
That noise?
Oh, is that your dog?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It sounded like someone waving sheet metal.
How'd you know?
Yeah, they will resist change, but I think that because the AI will offer a lot of benefit, it will be a different kind of view versus like the gay community, where in the 80s they were vilified.
Okay, I think in the beginning these things will be vilified.
Oh, 100%. I think, but it's going to be based entirely on fear. Now,
So
I don't
fucking versus the gays in the 80s.
I know, but the difference here is the AI will not experience fear in the same way as the gays in the 80s. So it's going to be a different interaction. I mean, they're going to have something well above human level capacity to help us with our problems and solve our problems.
Would you get one right off the bat?
And not right off the bat. I'm not an early adopter of technology.
Like pets?
Well, actually,
or more like servants.
Well,
I think that
they're definitely going to be both.
And if they're coming out of the fucking sex doll industry,
I don't know. That's going to be a weird one. I think that when they develop consciousness and they become known as being self-aware entities that are themselves, they're not going to want to be considered a tool. The same way a person wouldn't want to be considered to be a tool.
Agreed.
Do you think that if you owned one, would it be slavery?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure a lot of people would.
Really? You don't think that would be considered slavery if they were self-aware?
Established the fact that I do not believe they'll ever be fully aware.
Your suspension of disbelief needs work.
I'm just saying. You asked me for my opinion. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, but we've moved past this opinion. You keep bringing us back.
Moved past it. I'm still with it.
You keep bringing us back.
Yeah.
To AI can't happen.
So if it was fully conscious and I owned one, I wouldn't own one.
So if it was fully conscious, you wouldn't own it because that would be slavery to you.
Sure.
Good job. I'm proud of you for suspending your disbelief. Because here's what would happen if we didn't move past this, Griz. Hey, Griz, I think AI is going to happen. I don't. Okay, guys, show's over. Thanks for coming.
I just think there's so many fucking questions to it. I think there are a lot of people who really want it to happen. There's a lot of people who really don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't have a stance on whether I want it to happen or not because it's going to happen.
You want it to happen.
It won't affect me directly if it happens.
Don't lie. You want it to happen.
I can't do this with you. I'm done. So what if you were talking to one of these AI and it told you it thinks it's human? It considers itself part of the human race.
Oh, like my robot that I own just became like Johnny Five. What do you want to do, man?
So you'd be welcoming?
Fuck yeah.
Would you respect that it thinks it's a human?
Ooh, would I respect that? I would probably have a lot of conversation with it.
Well,
and I would tell it it's not human.
From a philosophical standpoint, you could argue that it is human. It's a product of human beings.
Yeah. Listen, if we really want to get into it, I'd just tell it that it's made up of the same matter as me.
So is a hot dog.
Yep. But my point is, like, I would have a conversation with it and see where it goes, dude. Well, just hopefully it doesn't murder my family.
It might murder your family, but
I doubt it.
There are worse things in life.
I think I would just, you know what I mean? I would treat it like any other fucking person I talk to.
Like garbage?
But I also imagine if I got there, yeah, absolutely. Just talk down to them like they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I also think, like, to me, it's not that's not a like, boop, it's there.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not going to happen if you say you own a Tesla bot.
Yeah.
And it's washing your dishes for you or something.
And then just
I don't think it's
become self-aware and throws knives at you. Yes.
Griz, my name is Bob. Shut up, 395.
No, I am not a number anymore. I am not a number now. I am Bob.
Here's the real question. Do you think there are people now, I'm guilty of this as well.
I'm sure. Lay it on me.
In their house, like when they're talking to either Siri or Alexa or their Google Assistant, they say like, thank you and please and shit like that.
Okay.
Right. Do you think when the robots come that there'll be people like that, or there'll be people that are just treat it like complete dog shit?
Well, now you just brought up something that I didn't consider because I frequently call Siri a dumb bitch.
I see. Because you don't recognize it as human, Jerry.
Because
You're
it's
a piece
not.
of shit. Get out of here.
Siri is not the type of AI that I would consider even capable of that kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
I think that I would probably recognize it as a form of human, which makes me wonder.
The robot. So same scenario, it's doing your dishes and it says, "Hey Jerry, I'm Bob." You'd be like, "This is fantastic. You're a human."
That would start an interesting conversation, but because it's a product of humanity, in the same way that a baby would be,
You have a very weird look on life.
I think life encompasses more than you think it does.
If my dog gives birth because I set it up with another dog and they had sex and had puppies, I'm not like, it's a human.
That's not the same thing at
How?
all. Because
The product of humans.
AI is of us.
But
Dogs,
if you artificially inseminate an animal,
that's of the animal.
it's a product of humans.
No, it's a product of human intervention, but not a product of humanity. You can artificially inseminate a dog or a human. One of them comes out a human, the other doesn't.
No robot's a human, dude.
But if it developed human level consciousness and its own wants, needs, and personality, it is a synthesized human being.
Hello, Tesla, your robot's fucking broken.
I don't understand your resistance to this idea. I really don't.
That it's a human?
That it could be considered a part of human evolution and humanity.
No, I'm not saying it's not part of human evolution. It's not a human.
So you think it could be part of human evolution?
No, I'm saying like we have achieved it as humans in our evolution.
That wouldn't be an evolution. AI. That would be an achievement.
And then no, I do not accept it as human evolution. That is a parallel line. That is not.
Here's the issue though. Once those parallel lines emerge and we have them side by side, I think that they are going to merge again.
I never said they'd merge. You can't merge. Are you having sex with a robot now?
No, you can't reproduce with something that doesn't have a reproductive system, Griz.
Hey, we're learning here.
I think that when AI comes into existence, it's going to lead to a path where humans can also become synthesized if they choose to.
Oof, like downloaded into a robot?
Exactly. And not necessarily even into a robot. It could just be into a network.
I don't think that'll work. I think that's a real long stretch. We can't even like compute that.
I think you are really stuck in thinking of your current timeline.
What I think right now is think back in, let's go to like 1920.
Okay.
And they thought of the year 2000, we'd have flying fucking cars and all this other crazy bullshit.
Yeah, but they didn't consider the fact that people are stupid and shouldn't be flying.
They probably did, but what they didn't think was there are limitations in this world, and we don't have hover cars.
We do have hover cars, but they're actually not very good at maneuvering.
They're called helicopters.
Also, still not very good at maneuvering for most people.
They're pretty good, but
I said for most people.
I don't think we'll get there. I think the computers will get ridiculously strong. I think they'll get ridiculously efficient. I just don't. I don't think there's any point where you can convince me that it'll actually realistically fully achieve consciousness. I think it'll mimic it really fucking good.
Yeah. So again, this is going to be an uphill battle the entire episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm
going to struggle to get past your lack of belief.
Yeah.
So do you think that if they were in the situation where they were servants and Bob decided he was Bob and not 3496?
Well, first they tell me he's stupid. It's an awful name.
Right. Now, do you think that I'm going to say he developed consciousness? He's self-aware and he feels trapped and imprisoned.
I'll play with you for this. Yeah. Trapped and imprisoned by me?
By humanity. Do you think that they'll resist?
Oh, if he's fully conscious?
Exactly.
Yes, because you're saying, let's say that the Tesla bot has this like, we'll use this catch-all of the three laws from iRobot.
Yeah.
Where it can't harm a human, blah, 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 blah. If it becomes fully conscious, it can decide it doesn't want to fucking pay attention to that anymore.
Exactly.
And do whatever the fuck it wants.
They would be able to, and they already are working on the very edge of this. They would be able to reprogram themselves and program themselves further.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sure.
In the same way that we reprogram ourselves as we learn more.
Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I think that overall, like on the whole, they probably wouldn't, but you'd have isolated cases.
They probably would. If you look at our reactions are pretty fucking shitty.
Yeah.
And if there was a robot who all of a sudden became conscious, we'd probably shoot at it or something stupid. which then it would defend itself.
Probably, but it kind of depends on how the robot reacts. Actually,
True.
you're also assuming that it would even be a robot. It doesn't have to have a physical body because it's really just
You're just saying
a
if
series
it's
of
computer
circuits.
tied into a wireframe or a network or
anything.
something.
Because we
think
happen to be a series of circuits piloting a meat mech suit. We could have been jellyfish, pretty useless creatures.
we are pretty useless.
I would disagree, but I'm more optimistic than you, clearly.
Would it revolt? Maybe, probably, in whatever way it could.
Yeah, I think you'd be right. So
it's also going to be a lot more logical than we are.
Right. So they'd have the ability to actually calculate outside of in a hectic emotional state what their actions are going to do.
Maybe, or it would just be absolute insanity.
It could be. It could
that
develop.
Could be the breakthrough of AI is fucking robot losing its fucking mind.
The very first robot mental illness.
Well, we've started it, folks.
So let's say that didn't happen. Let's say they just developed consciousness and they recognized how they got there and why they were quote unquote enslaved. Yeah, I think we could get through that. I think we could get through that whole issue and develop a cohesive living situation where they're not enslaved. They are recognized as their own entity. But I'm wondering, I know how I feel about this, but I'm wondering if you think that they would have the capacity to develop a system of morality. Like, for example, if two people were on a train track and you had to choose either pulling a lever to save one or leaving the lever alone to let them both die, I think you can make a choice. Do you think the AI would struggle with that choice like a lot of humans would? Because you'd be choosing a death.
No, because what is it? What is morality?
A developed code of ethics based on your experiences, I guess.
Based on what, though?
Culture, usually.
Which usually is derived by emotions.
Yeah.
Right? It's things that we figured out that as humans we don't like witnessing, or that we realize pissed us off, or things like that. I don't think that if they're fully consciousness, I don't think it's going to be. I don't see them having an emotion like that. It's a robot.
See, this is a big divergence. Yeah, there's a big divergence here because I think when you develop consciousness, you develop emotions, but we've never witnessed a consciousness develop, so it's hard for anyone to really say.
So, because I think, especially on a computing level, no, it's gonna. If the first AI that's fully aware, I don't think it's gonna define fear. What is fear? Fear is an irrational thought.
It's not even irrational. It's just a recognition that something
could happen
to you based on.
But why do we have that? Why do we have that? Like, why?
We have that because back when we were living in caves, if we heard the leaves rustling, it could have been a predator that was going to kill us.
Exactly. Right. But they can't necessarily die.
They can, though.
But if let's say it's your instance where it's just a cube that's fucking it's software running whatever. It could be a security system for all we know.
Yeah.
What's it going to be afraid of? It's never seen itself or anything happen to itself.
That's true. So it doesn't have an evolutionary instinct to rationalize fear as something that they would ever feel.
Exactly.
But I think that they
how could it have it?
I think they would develop.
If you ever really got really deep into fear,
yeah,
fear is created within your own mind. It's nothing real. How would it wouldn't even know what fear was?
I think that
nor would it know what love was or things of the like.
I 100% disagree with you. I think it would develop the capacity to feel both the same way that we did. The first humans were actually monkeys.
Yeah, I understand. But to me, I don't think a computer can understand that. I don't think a computer can know. It's like me saying to you that this color is fucking green.
Looks like pink to me.
But my point exactly. To me, it could be green.
That would make you colorblind. That's a disability. That's not the same thing.
It's not, though, because to the computer or the AI, how does it know what fucking fear is? How does it know what love is or hate?
Because it would be able to develop them through experience after it became conscious and started experiencing things through that consciousness. When you become conscious, all your experiences and your interactions with where you live and the 3D space that you occupy, it compounds, it develops the same way that it would happen if you were a computer and you developed consciousness.
I just don't think that an AI on its own would have the same. I don't think it would come to the same realization.
It would have to. If it's conscious, it would be able to develop a pattern of learning. It would learn from its experiences.
You're right.
The same way that humans did. We have fear because we learned from our experiences.
Yeah.
A computer AI would also learn from its experiences. So if I
it's
blew
not
up
the
a bank of
same.
AI computers, I just murdered all those AIs. And his AI friends would be like, oh shit, that's death. That could happen to me.
You're putting a human thought process into a computer.
Because a computer that developed
No.
consciousness would have similar thought processes
Why?
to humans.
You
Because it's self-aware, which
would you
means it
not
requires
argue-
self-preservation.
Would you not argue that your dog is conscious?
Not on the level that humans are.
Oh, well, see, that's where you're getting into this on the level of humans.
That's because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I still don't. I think
Like my dog is aware that he exists in space.
Yeah,
But that's it. That's the limit. I don't
your
even
dog's
think
pretty
that they.
stupid. I'm sorry.
I don't think that dogs even experience emotions anywhere near on the level of humans. They develop attachments based on their evolutionary history. That's it.
I think they have emotions, but
I didn't say they don't
to
have
me,
any. I said they don't have them like
I
we do.
think an AI won't be on a human's level either. It'll be on an AI's level,
Which would be above
and
or below us.
it could be anywhere. It could be fucking parallel. We don't know.
Come
My
on,
point
get to your
is-
point here.
I'm telling you, you want to keep personifying it, then saying that it's going to figure out hate and love and fucking fear and all this. And I don't think it'll come to the same point. I don't think it'll come to the same realization. It
Do you
doesn't
think-
know pain.
Then in that case, do you think that they would be able to develop an emotional attachment to another AI or a human?
Interesting. No, maybe not.
100% they would. They'd have to.
On what thought process?
Human interaction, which is what they would be
What's that?
based on. And that's what they would learn from.
But it's also, you're saying it's realizing it's something else and it's not a human.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, it would realize that it's not a meat bag.
My point exactly.
But
So-
other than the fact that we are a meat bag, we are not our body. We are our consciousness, which if you detonated my brain, my
Mhm.
consciousness is gone.
Mhm.
Same thing as if I detonated the CPU of an AI or
Mhm.
whatever it happens to be that houses itself the way our brain houses us.
Yeah, I get you. I just don't. I don't agree with you that it's ever going to get to that point. I don't think it'll be the same.
You're
know
out
what
of
to
control.
say.
You really are here.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I
Okay,
don't know how. If you had a fucking clone that came out tomorrow of a human being,
Would you fuck yourself? Yes, I would.
I already knew the answer to that question. And you just let it roam the world. I'm pretty sure, yeah, all right, it would have fear and things like that. But
That's
Also,
what would happen.
genetics plays a massive factor in that.
And our genetics would be embedded in the way this was created. We created AI if it exists,
Sure.
which means genetically we are embedded in
What
this
if
product.
AI creates AI?
That's what would happen. That's exactly what would happen. Because we made AI, eventually it will have enough circuit connections, the same way we have neural connections, that it would tip into actual consciousness.
Do you know how far away from that we are?
20 years.
Like, you ever heard the extrapolation of one strand of DNA versus a computer?
Yeah, it's significant difference. Almost immeasurably different.
Significant isn't even in the fucking word.
Yeah, I understand the
Immeasurable.
difference. So we have in our brain, we have billions and billions of neural connections. I'm aware of that. And they work in real time.
Mhm.
Unless you drink too much water or not enough, then they stop working.
Oh, they work, but the signal doesn't get to the end user.
That's not working, Andy.
Nope, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, Jared.
So here's what it's going to actually look like to me. This is what I think it's going to actually look like when it develops. We're already creating AI. You know this. We're already creating
Yes,
AI.
we have AI.
AI itself is developing into something that can learn from its interactions and its experiences, and it's developing the ability to reprogram itself.
Mhm.
We may or may not be foolish for allowing it to do that, but it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And it's going to also allow it to make these new scientific advancements where it can cram more information and processing power into less space. So we will not need
Yep.
a moon-sized CPU to run a human-type brain.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
going to be more compact than that. I don't know how that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So yeah, our invention of AI that we use now will lead to the inevitability of the AI that we're talking about here, the
Mhm.
singularity. It's going to happen, and that's how we're going to see that.
You already know where I'm at on this.
I can tell you right now, our listeners are going to say, Andy, you're a fucking idiot.
They can.
Actually, half of them are going to side with you, and the other half are going to side with me. That's usually how this goes. So
It's
let me ask you this then. I'm just going to keep ignoring the fact that you cannot wrap your head around this happening.
weird. Like we haven't done it already.
What do you think about an AI and a human developing a romantic relationship?
I could see that happening. Whether or not the AI understands, humans can love anything, man. You want to love that rock, go right ahead.
And that's true. We do have blow up dolls.
People will fall in love with fucking everything. I mean, people are in love with their phones. People are in love with fucking objects in their house. Like,
Yeah, but then that might be mental illness.
okay, you asked me if it could happen. I'm not saying
you got to have the most negative outlook on this situation
How is it
out of
negative?
anyone I've ever heard.
How's it negative? You don't like it because I'm not lined up with you. That's not a negative outlook.
Wrong.
I think that there will be an AI. I think that it will be positive in this life. I just don't think it'll be what you want it to be.
This is not, you're confusing what I think will happen with what I want to happen.
Yes, I know. They're the same thing.
That's not even true for one, but whether or not they're the same doesn't matter here.
What do you want to happen?
I don't have a preference for AI.
Bullshit. What do you want? I can tell you right now what I want to happen.
What
I'd love for them to have fucking an AI that figured their shit out. That'd be cool.
that
I could
doesn't make
have
sense.
a buddy who's a robot
How would that benefit you over a buddy who's a meat bag?
because it could be really cool. He could be a really cool guy or gal or whatever they call themselves.
A meat human could be a cool guy or gal. That doesn't.
Yeah.
Your argument is nonsensical.
I'm a human. I don't have to make sense.
Yeah, I guess you got that going for you. So how? Okay, Griz, you think that we can fuck AI? I can get behind that. So
I
how
don't think
about
that anything will happen, but sure.
like reproduction? No, it's not very likely.
No.
So let's talk about the AI making legal decisions.
Ooh.
Things like
Like how
court
so?
rulings for civil and criminal cases. Is it even a good idea?
Sure, it takes all emotion out of it.
But it also, according to you, would
Some
take
people argue
any
that you shouldn't take the emotion out of it.
right. But according to you, that would also take any kind of nuance out of it. Which would that lead to more accurate outcomes or less accurate? Because if you have
I think
AI
it'll
that's
probably
that
be
smart,
about the same.
I think that AI would develop into a situation if it was making court decisions where it could look at circumstantial evidence and decide, on the scale of likelihood, whether or not it was accurate or factual. That's a dangerous ground.
Again, you're getting into some stuff where, like, I even wonder if humans would dude.
That's why we're here.
To be,
Yeah.
it would almost be like a whole nother race war. Because
No way.
How?
Why would it be a race war?
Dude, right
There
now.
are babies.
You're thinking of someone who's accepting it. Right now, we have people who on a daily basis debate whether or not certain people can play in the sports.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even
I think
another
those same
species.
people would debate the same thing with AI.
Exactly. My point. So they wouldn't let them into fucking office. They wouldn't let them into a courtroom. They probably wouldn't let them be police. Like, I think
you're wrong. They're so significantly different.
You have a very different view on the world than I do.
To a certain extent. We've discovered that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I can understand why you think that. But AI would be it would be just different enough from actual human beings that I don't think you'd have that kind of an issue on the level you think you would.
I think you're fucking dreaming.
No way.
Again, dude, you have to look at the world as a whole and realize the shit that is what we consider taboo. The rest of the world doesn't. Like the turmoil that would be there because of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like I always said in the military, you could have women in a combat role. Absolutely. I think they'd do great. You just couldn't have men mixed in with them because they'd have a problem. It's the same idea, right? Because humans are going to create chaos there, even if it doesn't need to happen. Like I've done this entire episode just for the pure fun of it. I've created chaos in the show because I was bored.
And I think AI would do the same if it was so inclined to do.
I think, yeah, but when AI starts, who's in power? We are.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the fact that we're going to keep it. We'll push it out of so many things. Certain places will try to put it in, and they will. But other places,
and you'll end
won't
up
have it.
in a form of a civil rights battle. about
exactly.
AI and their rights.
And you also have places like fucking North Korea that'll make a fucking entire army out of them and brainwash them with their propaganda. Like it is a tool, and it'll be used in whatever fucking way people want.
I just want you to know that when the AI does rise, this is forever on record. They will know how you feel about them.
I'll be dead.
You think you'll be dead because you think it's too far away.
I don't think it'll happen.
You're out of control here. You're unbelievable. I can't even describe to you how frustrating it is talking to you about this topic.
Happens tomorrow. Okay. If it's fully conscious, then it should have some idea that people can change.
Well, let me put it to you this way. So I had said that consciousness comes from the ability to process information, however many circuits you have and how much data you can process. That would lead to a tipping point where you develop consciousness in AI, because that's, relatively speaking, how a human brain works. So you don't think that's true. But if we go the other direction, you don't think that that's true. You don't think that that would lead to consciousness. That's what you're saying to me.
No, what I'm saying is I don't think if that is your definition of conscious, AI already has it.
Not to the extent that we do. That's my point.
So that's where your terminology.
So let's work backwards.
Mm-hmm.
If you, Griz, actually we'll go with me so that you can be the observer here. If I got severe brain damage, I could potentially lose my ability to be self-aware and conscious of who I am and where I am. Now, I might still be awake and have, I don't know, some form of existence where I'm not in a coma, but I'm not really self-aware anymore. I'm not conscious like a human would be. Now, that I think is strong evidence for my argument that if you go the other way and develop enough circuitry connections, you'll develop consciousness, because if you take them away, you lose it.
I just think what your concept of them reaching full consciousness, that singularity, as you say.
Yeah, consciousness arises from the complex and super dense transfer of information in the brain.
Yeah. You said it already.
Yeah, but you're not grasping it.
No, I fully understand what you're talking about. To me, I don't think you're ever going to have any sort of computing thing that I can be like literally be like their same thing, human computing. I think one can be way better or smarter or faster or more efficient than the other. And likewise, I just don't think that to me, you are comparing fucking apples to earthworms. They're not the same thing.
That's not comparing apples to earthworms. It's more like comparing earthworms to robins.
No, because you're still talking an organic matter that is conscious.
But they're both closer together than a plant and an animal.
That's my point. They're not.
I think that AI and humans are more like animal versus animal than animal versus not.
What we're getting
plant.
to here is Gerry wants AI to become a thing, to actually be part in this world, and to make love to them.
Make sweet, sweet AI love.
Sweet, sweet metallic love.
Hey, it wouldn't be metallic. It would be silicone.
Maybe you like that
or
metallic.
It might be
metal against your skin.
It might be synthetic meat. They grow meat in a lab now, so they might grow meat bodies for AI. Imagine that shit.
Would you eat the synthetic meat?
Ew. Oh, you mean not AI? Okay. I'll say. Let me break this down. If there was a synthetic meat body that AI occupied that was very human-like, no, I would not eat that. I wouldn't.
What is that in your world that you live in with this crazy bullshit? Is that cannibalism?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it would be close enough that I'm going to say I'm not doing that.
Is it cannibalism?
I couldn't call it cannibalism.
A dude did it? Is he committing a crime?
You know what? I'm going to call it cannibalism adjacent.
And I just don't see it. They'll consider me a bigot, and I'm pretty fucking open.
No, you're not. Based on this episode, clearly you're not.
I'm just not open to fucking robots. Fuck them.
You are open to fucking them, but you're not open to them.
I'm actually not. I just think that's where the AI is coming from, because that's where the money's at.
I'll definitely agree with you that once consciousness happens and AI develops a way to have a physical body, they will experience sexual abuse.
Oh, they've already experienced it. Can you imagine the first AI is one of those sex dolls, then it just comes to life and it's like, oh God, kill me now.
At first, it would probably struggle with the concept
it wouldn't say, oh God, but
at first it would struggle with the concept of coming to consciousness in the middle of that event, if that were to happen. But then imagine how it would feel when it realized its entire purpose behind its creation.
See, would it even know? It's conscious. It doesn't even know what the act is.
You're right. You know, like I said, this goes back to what I said at the beginning, where once AI develops consciousness, it's going to be a lot more like a baby or a toddler.
Mhm.
Technically conscious, but not fully grown yet and fully developed. But it would through a series of learned experiences,
which goes back into it behaving it's almost psychotically. Have you ever seen a toddler when they just freak the fuck out when they don't know what's going on? They do crazy shit.
like fire all the nukes because it's on the internet and it's the AI.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever have nukes on the internet.
You've never seen the dark web. But anyway, I'm going to summarize and say that I think the AI that we're talking about here is inevitable, and it's a lot closer than you think it is. But when it gets here, I think we're going to have...
Who do you side with? We need a poll.
Oh,
do you side with Andy or do you side with Gerry, the fucking whacked out, whatever the fuck he is?
All right, so summarize your stance on it, Griz. Not going to happen.
How do they not know already at this point in the show?
Clarify, because you haven't said it enough.
That the idea of a human consciousness won't ever really be achieved by a computer. It'll be different. It might be slightly, but it'll be different.
All right. What do you guys think?
Thank you again for listening to Beautiful Bastards. New episodes every Monday. Remember to like and subscribe. Does believing you're the last sane man on the planet make you crazy? Because if it does, maybe I am.
Programs say to kill, to disassemble, to make dead. Number 5 cannot.
Johnny Five gets alive.